I grew up in Selkirk, Manitoba, Canada, and when I was very young, our neighborhoods were littered with World War II veterans. Most of them came back good, upstanding citizens. A lot came back troubled, alcoholism and what they seen and that. So some talked about it, some didn't. I had two uncles that kind of didn't want to talk about it, but I had two best friends who were twins, and their father, he was a veteran, and he was Icelander like me, a ghoulie. So he'd never talk about these stories, Lawrence Olson. He never would say anything, and we'd always, egg him on, ask him stuff, but he's very troubled, from what he's seen, so he's drunk all the time. But he was a nice guy when he was sober, Nicest guy you want to meet, kind, give you a shirt off his back. But one time we were 14, and he started opening up. He had a few in him, It was early in the day. And we were talking. We said, "Bob, did you ever kill anybody?" We knew he was a sailor. He was a P.T.Boat operator. He drove a P.T.Boat. Those were submarine killers. They had depth charges on them. They would sink subs. They protect the ships coming in and out of ports. And he was good at it. They sank two subs. But the Germans were just as good at their job too. They sank him one time, destroyed the boat, killed everybody on board, and he floated for days on a piece of driftwood. But he was a smart man, this Mr. Olson. He was floating in the North Atlantic, and a submarine came up, and you gotta hope that it's American, But it wasn't American, it was a German. Germans kind of, 5 of them got on top and looked down and started yelling at him, because if it was Canadian, American, or English, he'd fucking shoot him. Or take him inside, interrogate him, and then shoot him. They weren't going to feed him. He was smart. He started screaming at them in Icelandic, and German and Iceland have a similarity, so words are probably similar, And they knew what he was saying. Mr. Olson was saying, "You fucking Germans, you destroyed my fishing boat and killed my fucking crew, you bunch of pricks." And they looked at each other and laughed, and then just left him to die. 2-3 days later, an American ship got him. And he was back in the game, but this time he had a vengeance. So eventually we asked, did you kill anybody, We knew you killed somebody, destroying subs, but by your hands or a gun. And he kind of said, "Oh yeah, I did. I killed 4 Germans." He said, "We were in Spain, coming around a big fucking ocean bend, and there was a jetted pier running parallel to this thing, and we caught these Germans by surprise. They're at the very end of the pier with women. There's 5 of them, and there was 4. There was nobody by the gun they were supposed to be monitoring at the very end of the pier. They got caught off guard. They were getting close. A 60-mile-an-hour boat with a big machine gun in front. Those Germans were running as fast as they could get to that pier to go shoot them. Mr. Olson's at the gun, and he's boom, boom in the front. The captain's beside him, waiting to give the order to shoot, because he's green, And he's getting closer and closer. The Germans are getting closer to that gun, and then the captain said, "Shoot!" Lawrence froze. That captain stuck a gun to his head and said, "Kill him or I'll kill you!" Lawrence started shooting. Boom, boom, boom. He said, "I seen all 4 of those guys get cut in half." Then they got to the pier, stopped as quick as they could because the bad guys were on their way. A couple of them stood in front of what they were doing beside this big gun, and they were shooting the Germans as they were running down the pier. They were putting bombs everywhere. They got back in, took off, blew that thing up. Then he said, "I even got shot." He didn't know after all the scuffle, He got shot in the leg. But there's no time. There's a war going on. They just kept going. He just taped the frickin' thing up and gone, The captain killed the guy that shot him. He never shot anybody, but after the guys were getting close, But then he's telling us this story, and we're just flabbergasted. We're like, holy fuck. Is he telling the truth, This is fucking wild. And we're 14-year-old, three boys. And then all of a sudden he pulls up his pant leg and he's going, you know, I got shot right here. And you can see a bullet hole, eh? The bullet, the mark where it went in. And there's no exit. Then there's a little bump there, and he was picking at it for about a year. He said, I've been picking at this for a year. And I'm young, and I look down, and I can see this little bump. I said, is that bullet? And he goes, probably. And the two brothers there, they didn't want to look. But I'm like, it's a bullet, I'm telling them. And they're going, bullshit, Dad, bullshit. We started calling him on it. Yeah, it's probably bullshit, eh? And he said, well, give me a knife. He got a knife and he cut that thing, and we're all like, oh, no. He pulled this fucking bullet out. Didn't say a word, just put it down, and then we kind of just got up. He went to go, bandage himself, and we were like, how do we play baseball after this? A couple of days later, Lawrence Olson passed away. It broke our hearts. He was very troubled for what he did, but he did it because he was a patriotic Canadian from Selkirk, Manitoba, Canada. He volunteered at 15 years old. Everybody in that recruitment office knew he wasn't 18. They sent him anyway because there were so many patriotic Canadians coming out of Selkirk to go to war. They just said, you can go as well.